Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo
Namo
tassa
tassa
bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So friends, welcome to this Sunday afternoon. So before we do the meditation a little bit later on, I wanted to talk a little bit. I want to now on these Sunday programs, go over some of the verses in the Dhammapada. So the Dhammapada is, most of you know, a collection of many short little stanzas, and each one an expression of the teachings of the Buddha. And the Dhammapada means in the footprints or footsteps of the Buddha. So in this sense of the Dhammapada, each verse of the Dhammapada is like a footprint of the Buddha. You don't, see the Buddha is like you see a footprint in the forest or, on the beach or something. And but you don't see the actual person, but the footprint, leads you towards the person. So these stanzas are like that. They're an expression of the Dhamma teaching. And especially these first two, the first two verses in the Dhammapada, the twin verses, is the well-known verse of Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, Mano Setta Mano Maya, Manasache Paduttena Basativa Karotiva, Tato Nam Dukkam Anveti Chakkam Va Vahato Padam. And it's corollary of, basically it means, well, it's translated in different ways. I know Bhante Gunaratana chants it in the Bhavana Vandana book. We have it as all actions are led by the mind. Mind is the master. Mind is the maker. Act or speak with an impure state of mind, and suffering follows as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. In the same way, if one acts or speaks with a pure state of mind, then happiness follows, as your shadow follows you around. Now, other translations have it as mind is the forerunner of all conditions. And that means basically everything is mind-made. Mind is the chief. So it has a slightly different meaning, that the forerunner of all conditions. And what does it mean by the mind? Basically, it's talking about the pure awareness, the pure consciousness, or you could say the pure mind, as opposed to the ego-dominated and the defiled mind, or the unconditioned mind. And so that was there in the beginning. That's basically the deathless element. It was never born and never dies. But anyway, so that's what precedes all condition. So also, like the sabbe sankhara, all conditioned things are impermanent. So the mind is creating all the conditions in the mental process of feeling, perception, volition. So the 5 aggregates are involved in this. That feeling, perception, and volition are what are preceded by that pure state of mind and or the consciousness. Because from consciousness comes in dependent origination. Depending on consciousness arises the nama rupa, the mind and the body. And so the mind in that sense is feeling, a perception, and volition. But in mano pabangama dhamma, the mind is basically the consciousness that precedes feeling, perception, volition, you could say. Anyway, so that means, all of our feelings, perceptions, or thoughts, or our habits, and even the way we perceive the world. Because even when you look at something and you say, "Oh, look, that's a Buddha image," that's created by the mind. Because in reality, what you're seeing with the eye is just a visual image. I mean, color in a certain shape and form, but through training and through and so on. Since we were a baby, we learned to identify that as a Buddha image. But basically, and then every time we see it, what we see is a Buddha image. We immediately identify it as a Buddha image or a certain person. But actually, the mind is creating this memory based on how you first experienced the object. So that's one sense. And also all of our emotions, like, anger and jealousy or happiness and so on. These are also basically created and perpetuated by the mind. And so this is really the essence of the Buddhist teaching. But especially in the first translation, as being all actions are led by the mind, in terms of the law of karma, that all of our actions are based on how we perceive objects in our memory of the objects. And that's why meditation practice is all about understanding this mental process and how the mind creates its idea of ourself and of the world, and basically everything in the world. And so that's the vipassana aspect about meditation. And the development of wisdom is gradually understanding how the mind creates the world is created by the mind, basically. It's not that this world doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist necessarily in the way that the average person sees it. I mean, the conditioned world, yes, but we're talking about the deeper level of insight. So there's 2 levels of perception, or 2 levels of wisdom: the conventional level, and then the level of wisdom or absolute level that sees everything as essentially empty of any solidity or permanence. So this is what we try to understand in meditation. Although, as I've mentioned so many times before, in order to be able to see that means practicing the vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation means seeing that mental process. That means seeing reality as it is, as opposed to the way our mind, conditioned mind, makes it up to be with all of its conditionings and likes and dislikes and its karmic habits. So, this is the essence of understanding the teachings of the Buddha and the foundation of the whole practice of, the Eightfold Path, really. So anyway, I just wanted to mention, to remind you of that, because that's, what we try to, the real focus of, insight meditation. And so I wanted to now, based on that, open it up to any questions that you might have about that verse, that mind is the forerunner of all conditions. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. And again, if one acts or speaks with an impure mind, and an impure mind essentially means a mind dominated by ignorance, and then the greed and the aversion, the likes and the dislikes, and all the habits that we've accumulated through that ignorance. So even though, it's usually stated as greed, hatred, and ignorance, or, I prefer to say ignorance, greed, and hatred, because ignorance comes first. Because of the ignorance, that means clinging to the sense of self. That's the deepest level of ignorance, is clinging to the sense of self. And because of that, the self develops its greed for pleasurable feeling. And then the hatred and anger arises when anything tries to block our acquisition of pleasurable feeling. We get angry, or we hate the person. So anyway, this is, once you understand how the mind works like that, it's much easier to try to, work with disentangling that tangle of the mind. So if anybody has any questions about any of that, then feel free to write it down on a chat, or if Prashant wants to ask people to raise their hands and call on them to speak, they can do that too. Prashant, are you still there?
Yes, Bhante. Yeah, they can raise their hand or they can unmute themselves. I know. They can raise their hand. I can ask them to unmute, and they can ask a question.
Okay.
Or they can unmute themselves. Either way, that's fine. If there is nobody in line.
If you don't have any questions, then we'll have a little longer yoga session and then a meditation practice.
Bhante.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
It sounds like our tour.
Yes. 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 Bhante, I would like to ask you one question. It's about this emptiness or sunyata. Can we say that this emptiness is it's not only the emptiness of all these five aggregates, but also the samsara in a deeper level, it's also empty of kind of substantial and permanent reality. Can we extend this sense of shunyata not only for the ego, but also for all this world made of impermanence and coming and going, nothing that is really substantial? Can we think like this, Bhante?
Well, suffering also is samsara. So that's a synonym, you could say, samsara and suffering. So when you overcome suffering and you terminate the rebirth, then you've terminated samsara for one's, let's say, one's mind. And so even an arhat who's attained arhat but still living, an enlightened person still living, you could say they're not in samsara anymore because their mind is not grasping, arising and vanishing, grasping after the six senses and with the sense of self. So in that sense, samsara is empty for them, only for the person who's attained full enlightenment. But because a
Okay.
person has not attained enlightenment and they're under delusion and ignorance, then samsara is real, but in the conditioned sense, and it's going to go on for other people, even if Arahant, the Buddha, escaped samsara a long time ago, but the billions of people are still suffering in their own samsara, you could say. So, samsara is the mental process, really. And that's conditioned. That's conditioned. And so, yes, that's part of the sunyata. Even samsara is empty of any absolute condition, except for the fact that, when a person attains, enlightenment, their particular mind has terminated the samsara.
Okay, Bhante. It's interesting because I was reading something about the quantic physics. And
Yeah.
also they are coming slowly this conclusion that really this world, there is nothing that you can say that really it's something as a thing, no?
Yeah.
That is all process energy. So there is no some kind of substantial reality in this universe. I think it is interesting this talking between Dhamma and this modern quantic physics. Interesting, no, Bhante?
Yeah, well, that's the meaning of the mano pubbangama dhamma. Mind is precedes all conditions. So the mind, that means the pure awareness, even preceded samsara. And then the mind creates the samsara and keeps perpetuating the samsara. And with the quantum physics, I mean, we all know that this material body that might weigh 150 pounds, if you break it down into just cells and molecules and then into atoms and protons and neutrons and electrons, basically it's just energy. It's just condensed energy. That's why you can put it on a funeral pyre and burn it in 2 hours. This body will just turn into nothing really. So that shows that it's empty of any real solidity, and that this quantum physics, I mean, if they were to apply it to the mind, they would break it down into also and realize just the pure consciousness, the pure awareness, but they haven't gotten that far yet.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of questions in the chat box now.
Okay. I'm not seeing the Zoom group chat. That was from the other night, right?
I think first is from John.
Oh, Dhammapada verses are often based on events the Buddha has given. Can you relate the background or sutta origin of these verses? These particular verses, I'd have to consult the text to find out the background story on that. I'm not able to remember all of them. I mean, I've read them all, but it's almost impossible to remember all of them. So normally I'd have to. I didn't, bother commenting on the verses, but you can find those. There are some books that tell all those stories. I think Narada's version, Venerable Narada Thero, wrote a Dhammapada which has abbreviation of some of those stories in them. This question is the first translation one Bhante Gunaratana uses of this couplet is how we learn it, young kids in Sri Lanka. So it's quite a shock to learn the Upali Sutra, the takeaway from the sutra. Mental action precedes bodily action. Well, the Mahavira's disciples, they thought that they have the wrong understanding of karma. That it was just the bodily actions themselves create the karma, but that's actually in the mind that creates the karma. The body is just an innocent sort of bystander, or the vehicle through which the mind creates the karma. And in the normal world, that's all we know is the physical effects of what we do. So if you kill somebody, all you see is a dead body there, and you see this person with a knife that stabbed somebody, and you say, oh, that person, you killed that person. But, it's the mind that killed them. And it was greed and hatred that killed the person. The body is just the vehicle for it. And so that's why the difference between the Buddhist teaching is that the mind is more powerful, because the mind is what causes the matter to do, the body to do anything. My mind often thinks of this world as an illusion, since all is Maya, and it's difficult to stay involved in life. Because all life is just illusion. Well, only for the enlightened person. For the unenlightened person, it's very real. And ask anybody coming out of Walmart. Say this world is an illusion, they'll look at you like you're crazy or something. They'll hit you in the face. Is that an illusion? They'll say. Or spit in your face. Is that an illusion? So, it's okay to say ultimately things are an illusion, but on the relative plane, the conventional level, things are very real for people. But it's learning how to live in both worlds. That's the skill of the meditation. And then there was this famous dialogue between Berkeley, a philosopher in England, and another professor. And this person named Berkeley, a philosopher, he used to say, everything is unreal, everything is unreal, everything is an illusion. And so he was walking with this professor, and the professor got tired of hearing this Berkeley always saying everything's an illusion, everything is unreal. And so they were standing there looking on this riverbank, and the professor picked up a big stone and threw it down on Berkeley's foot. And Berkeley grabbed his foot and was writhing in pain, and it was bleeding. He was jumping up and down, and the professor said, what are you doing, Berkeley? That's an illusion. That stone is your foot is an illusion. What are you saying? It's an illusion. So Berkeley only understood it intellectually. He didn't understand it really. Like if somebody would have thrown down a rock on a Buddha, he might have felt some pain, but he probably wouldn't be grabbing his foot and jumping up and down and so on, because he would have enough detachment from the pain in the foot not to get overly blown about it. But he still is in the relative world, right? The Buddha. So, he was sitting on the fence. So his body got old, 80 years old, and he realized, this is a conditioned body, and it gets old, and that's its fate. And so he, took rest and things like that. So you have to understand both levels of, that everything is real or everything is not real. Buddha took the middle path, not saying that nothing is real and not saying that everything is real or permanent. But how are they real? How do they appear to be real? How do they arise and how do they cease? And that's the dependent origination.
So, Bhante, excuse me, it's Chirasti. In terms of just to clarify the question with regards to the first gatha of the Dhammapada, it doesn't explicitly mention mental actions. So it talks about the mind preceding, doing something or verbal actions. So I think
that's the mental action, the mental action that causes the body to do the physical action. The body's not going to do any physical action without the mind telling it to. And that is basically forming a will, an intention. The will is the mind. So the will to lift your arm and punch somebody in the head That's the mental volition behind it.
So I understand how you reconcile the two, the Sutta and the Dhamma. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. This question here. An unskillful action is led by the mind. Here the mind can be contemplated as having an owner, and the karma, it can be considered as an impersonal state of mind. Well, we think we're the owner of the karma, but even the thinking that you're doing this is an illusion too. And that's how we get attached to it. We believe that we're the doer of it, or we believe that, oh, I have this depression, or I have this anger, and everything we do is preceded by I, me, or mine. That's the mental. That's what it means by preceded by the mind, the ignorance that's within the mind. And that ignorance is this accumulated will and for this actions. So, even though we say that there's an owner of the action, or there's no owner of it. There's just habits. There's just habits. And there's other Dhamma, other verses by the Buddha that say, actions are there, but nobody who's doing the action. It's basically just, again, it's powered by the past karma. It's a difficult thing to explain in, English language, because English language is not geared for it. Yeah, and that's why, we're to observe. The Buddha gave the instructions so many times. These 5 aggregates are to be contemplated and understood as this is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. These are simply habits, habitual energy that's been accumulated not only in this lifetime, but going back many, many lifetimes. And that's the way to detach from whatever is occurring in the body or the mind. You understand that it's happening, but you know that these are just habits, and we try our best through exercising mindfulness and restraint and right effort. We try our best not to keep, repeating the same types of habits, especially the negative ones that bring us, stress and suffering. All those things, all the 5 aggregates should be seen as impersonal phenomena. But it's difficult because of the ego is so deeply entrenched in that. That's why it, takes a lot of meditation practice. When we meditate, we are purifying our mind, but when we get out of meditation and come back in the real world, and all the marketing target mental desires, it is harder. We have to work very hard to guard our mind. Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole of Dhamma practice, basically. The whole Dhamma practice is centers around that, about guarding the mind, indriya samvara, guarding the senses, in restraint, not letting your eye just look at every little pleasurable thing and then desires arise, or smells or taste, guarding the senses, and that arises with contact. And, Kalyana Mitras are people that continually remind you about it because it's so easy to, to get trapped down it. Okay, that looks like that's all the chat questions. Anybody want to write another one or just to speak up and ask a question? If nobody has any other questions, then we can take a couple minutes break, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little bit longer session of some yoga stretching, and then sit for our meditation. Okay? Okay, see you back in a few minutes.
Mhm. Mhm. Ich habe jetzt ausgemacht.
Ja, aber man hört nicht.
Ja, komisch.
Friends, I'm back now, and looks like there was another question on the chat that might answer. Can the cluster of energies that are the five aggregates be considered as a grouping of energy that separates at the death of the body and then reconnects at the next life? Yes, the five aggregates, when the consciousness is reborn, those five aggregates, not the same ones necessarily, but the five aggregates, by and large, they come together again. And then they continue in this new life. And then when death happens, it's as if because the body aggregate, dissolves. But the mind, if it's spontaneously reborn in a Deva world or so on, then of course it creates a Deva body, a mind-made Deva body for itself. And then, it still has its perceptions and feelings will be different because of the different places that, that they are reborn. But basically, at the death, the aggregates get scattered, but they come back, immediately again in whatever form that the mind takes up again. Only with the death of an arahant are those aggregates dispersed and don't come together again, because there's no another life for an arahant. But it's the relinking consciousness that relinks to another life that then acquires the aggregates again, depending on where that person was born. Okay, so let's now we'll do some yoga stretches and before our meditation, okay? So you can get ready for that, find a place to stand. If you have a yoga mat, you can stand on that. Okay, so start to stand straight. Just gently close your eyes. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Relax the shoulders. Feel the weight of the arms and hands hanging at the side. Or feel the clothing touching the skin on your shoulders, arms, or chest. And feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Try to mentally feel the outline of the standing body. Just mentally remind yourself of standing, standing, standing. Then begin some three-part breathing. So start the breath in the lower lungs and take a few seconds to breathe in, drawing the air up to the middle chest and all the way up into the upper chest. Feel that expansion. Hold the air in the lungs a few seconds. Then feel that relaxing contraction of the out breath going out of the lungs. Feel that last contraction, the last bit of air going out. And then the next in breath. Hold the air in a few seconds. And the out breath. Once more, breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. We're going to combine that deep breathing with these movements. So with the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, arch your lower spine. Feel the sensation. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back. Out breath, touch the top of the head. Once more, in breath, hold that upward stretch longer. Release the fingers, the out breath, arms back to the sides. Just relax, keep the mind focused in the body. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Feel the hands and fingers at the sides, subtle pulsation. The hands and fingers. Just mentally remember standing, standing, standing. And with the next in breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms over the head like this, facing the palms toward each other about 6 inches apart, and stretch. Out breath, arms back to the side, heels to the floor. Use the breathing to help lift and lower the body. Again, in breath. Out. Once more, in. Out. Relax. Just keep feeling the body. Don't give the mind time to wander. Just remember standing, standing. Just feeling the effects of each exercise in terms of different sensations. Any little aches or pain. Prickling, itching sensation. And next we'll do knee bending. So on the in-breath, again, lift up on the toes. Raise the hands up front. On an out-breath, bend the knees and lower the body down, balancing on the balls of the feet. Come down as far as you comfortably can. The squatting position. In the in-breath, back up. The breath is like hydraulics, helping the body move. Again, out-breath. In. Out. In. The out-breath, relax. Feel all the sensations, the increased heart beating, pulsation. And all these sensations or feelings, just energy, vibration of atoms, electrons, molecules, cells, producing all kinds of sensations. Pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations. the four elemental vibrations. It's part of the investigation of Dhamma. Cultivation of right view. Okay, now spread the feet apart about 3 feet. The wider the better. Then holding the arms out at the side, we're going to be twisting from the right to left. So breathe in. And look at your right hand on the out breath, twist around to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going backward. The in-breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body. The next out-breath to the left. In-breath back to the front. Again to the right, out-breath. In-breath, the front, out-breath, the left. In-breath, the front. The out-breath, lower the arms, relax. Feel the sensations. Feel each foot pressing the floor. Remember standing. Standing. Now we're going to do alternate toe touching, still keeping the legs spread apart. Again, hold the hands out. And on an out breath, bring your left arm across and down to try to touch your right leg or foot as far down as you can reach. Then turn your head up to try to look at the palm of your right arm above the head. Then carefully come back up on an in-breath, extending the arms back out to the side. The next out-breath, the other side, the right arm, hand to the left leg or foot. And look up at the left arm, hand over your head. In-breath, carefully come back up. Just alternate that again 2 more times. Out breath, left arm to the right leg or foot. Look up at the other hand, over the head. In-breath, come up. Again, right hand to the left leg or foot. In-breath, come up. And once more to each side. In breath, come up. Right hand to the left leg or foot. In breath, come up. Out breath, relax. Feel the whole body vibrating, pulsating. Now bring the feet back together. Just try to mentally feel standing body. Just letting go of your thoughts. Okay, next we'll do the backward and forward bending. It's a powerful bending exercise, so be careful about it. You turn the palms outward. And on an in-breath, you start lifting the arms up and spreading them apart. While you bend backwards, continue to bring the arms out to the sides. Look up at the ceiling. Carefully lift up, keeping the arms out at the sides. And on the out breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the ground. See if you can touch your toes, the hands to the floor. And begin standing up. You can turn the palms outward, like gradual spreading the arms out to the sides, bending back. Lift up, keeping the arms out. An out breath, hands down. Once more, standing up, spreading the arms out. Now you come up, bring the hands together at the chest. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Just keep feeling the whole body. So the vibration, sensation. Remembering standing. And one last exercise, the head turning. So on the in-breath, turn your head to the right. Or look over your right shoulder, turn the eyes to the right. Look at something behind you. On the out-breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder, turn your eyes to the left. In breath back to the right. Out breath left. Once more to each side. Out breath left. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Just relax. Just keep the eyes gently closed. Just try to feel those interior pulsations, vibrations of the four elements. Actually, when you're feeling the body, you're just feeling that energy vibration. Just, every cell of the body is comprised of so many electrons, which is just vibrating electricity, energy. It's basically what you're feeling is just energy, vibrations, all those sensations. With the eye of wisdom. If people are wondering, why do we do these yoga exercises before meditation? I just want to meditate. No, the yoga exercises helps tune the mind into that dimension or level of vibrations, which awareness, where also awareness originates. When you can feel those subtle vibrations of the body, then that level of more detached or pure awareness can be experienced. And it cuts through your thoughts. Okay, so come back to the seats and get ready for the sitting meditation. So if you have some water nearby, it's good to drink the water after doing some yoga, before meditating. To replenish some of the water element that we might have expelled through a lot of the deep breathing during the yoga. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my video again. So just try to sit straight. Try to keep the head and the spine in a straight line. If you're sitting in a chair, keep the feet flat on the floor. Don't cross the legs if you're sitting in a chair. If you're sitting on the floor, just feel the body grounded to the floor. Just gently close the eyes and feel the weight of the body pressing the seat. Try to feel where the buttocks and the feet press the seat underneath. Try to feel some sensations in your feet. And feel your hands and fingers touching. Try to feel those subtle vibrations or pulsations in the fingers or palms. Feel the breathing in the abdomen, stomach area. And relax the shoulders, feel the weight of the upper arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of the shoulders or upper arms or chest. And feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Feel some sensations on your face. Or feel your lips touching together. The upper lip touches the lower lip. Feel the sensation of the dryness or moistness. Being an abundance or a lack of the water element. You feel dry or moist. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth. So try to feel your teeth or gums in the mouth. All those are just vibrations, but it's the perception, the mind creating the idea that, oh, that's the teeth, that's the gums, the tongue. Created by the mind, the perceptions, the memory. And feel your outer nose. Try to feel some subtle sensations or prickling sensations on the outer nose. And take a few deep breaths. Try to feel the inner nostrils, the air moving through the nostrils. Might even hear the sound of the air moving through the nostrils. Hold the air in the lungs 2 seconds. Just to feel the pause and the out breath. Now feel the eyes resting in the sockets, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. Or feel the blood pulsing in the capillaries of the eyes. Now from that point behind the eyes, let the awareness kind of expand a little to feel the outline or to create the outline of the sitting body. It's the general sense of the feet and buttocks underneath, hands and arms in the middle, at the side. The head balanced on top. Giving the kind of mental silhouette of the sitting posture. It's also a perception created within the mind of a sitting body. Sitting body is a Dhamma. All Dhamma is preceded by the mind. Consciousness. Just try to keep that feeling of the sitting body in the mind's eye. And again, take some deep, slow breaths. If you know the 3-part breathing, do some 3-part breathing. You oxygenate the body nervous system. Kind of exaggerate and feel those expanding and contracting movements. To feel the 4 phases of the breathing, the whole in-breath from beginning to end, and the pause. And the whole out-breath from beginning to end, and the pause. It's cultivating this basic breathing body awareness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Again, we want to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to strengthen our concentration. Still keep the mind focused in the middle of the body on the expanding and contracting sensation. And with the next expanding in-breath, count 1. Just quietly in your mind, holding the breath. With the contracting out breath, count 1. The next expanding in breath, 2. Contracting out breath, 2. Next expanding in breath, 3. Contracting out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath, 6. In breath, 7. Out breath, 7. In breath, 8. Out breath, 8. In breath, 9. Out breath, 9. In breath, 10. Out breath, 10. Now discontinue the counting. Just let the breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter rhythms. But continue to follow with close attention. Following, feeling shorter sensations of expanding and contracting. The in-breath might even just be 1 second or so, pause, a fraction of a second. And the out-breath, 1 or 2 seconds, a brief pause. Just turn up the power of the mental microscope. Tune into the subtler details. Try to feel the subtle touch of the clothing against the skin of the abdomen, the belly, rib cage, or chest. As it's expanding and contracting. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. And try to observe how each breath is different. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes it's an easy breath, sometimes a difficult breath. Sometimes you feel it more in the abdomen, other times you feel it in the rib cage or chest. It's always changing. Just make that the primary focus of your undivided attention. Just remembering in, sitting, out, sitting. We're breathing in, sitting, breathing out, sitting. Whichever helps to keep you focused. At the same time, be alert for thoughts sneaking up into the mind, or the urges to want to think or do something else. That mental urge, mano pubbangama, action, mind preceding any action. Just let the thoughts come and go in the background. Just keep the sensations of the breathing body in the front of the awareness. In, sitting. Out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Just with each breath, letting the mind center in the breathing body. It's being seated in the laboratory. Even while feeling the breaths, you can notice other sensations in and around the breathing. Sensations of clothing touching the skin, or itching, prickling sensation. Or if you have really deep awareness, you can almost feel the body expanding and contracting with the breathing. As the breath comes in, it sends rippling sensations throughout the whole nervous system. And with the contracting, also sending ripples out. It's called contemplating the body in the body. Feeling the breath body within the larger body. Just cultivate that attitude of being a scientist in the laboratory. Observing the body-mind experiment, the body-mind process. Understanding the five aggregate process. The material vibrations, the feelings they produce, the perceptions, the memory of them, the volitions or reactions on them, thoughts, past or future. And also the I consciousness, sense of I, me, or mine. It's there behind the process. The observer. This is the conditioned process, all these five aggregates. Body vibrations, feelings, perceptions, mental activity, and ego consciousness are all conditioned Dhamma. They're all arising, changing, passing away through the ultra subtle space of the pure awareness. Especially be alert how quickly sensations and thoughts are just arising and vanishing at a very rapid speed. You get caught up in thinking, recognize it as thinking. Just gently let go of the thoughts. Take a deep breath. Get reconnected to the breathing body. Just coming back to in, sitting, out, sitting. Stay awake, alert, moment by moment, breath by breath. If there's too many thoughts, or the mind is feeling drowsy, and come back and do some 3-part breathing to help wake up, to help stay grounded, awake in the breathing body. In the here and now. This breathing body is our constant underlying connection to the present moment. Whenever we feel the body, we're feeling the present moment. Even though the thoughts of past or future may be going on in the mind, the connection to the breathing body is always in the present moment. It's the lifeline to the present moment. When the mind is in the present moment, it sees reality as it is, as impermanent, without any inherent owner or controller. A source of suffering if you ignorantly cling to it. balancing both mindfulness and concentration. Concentration is the ability to maintain that connection with the breathing body. The mindfulness is the alertness for intruding hindrances. The mind getting distracted, lost in the past or future, or distracted by pain. Applying the right effort to disentangle from the hindrances, to enter the flow of present moment awareness. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Sensations come and go. Perceptions come and go. Thoughts come and go. Urges, emotions come and go. Thoughts of I, me, or mine come and go. This is all just the stream of the impermanent world, the five aggregates, the conditioned mind, arising and vanishing, creating the illusion of me doing these things in this world. It's a mental movie created by the mind. It's samsara. To become the detached observer, you can suspend the process of samsara. If you have a good concentration and awareness of that flow of impermanence, you just try to feel the body and mind like an empty house with nobody home to answer the call, knocking on the doors and windows, the senses. That there's a sensitive microphone in the house that picks up the vibration but cannot do anything. The sensitive microphone is the unconditioned awareness. The knowing element. There's no known and no knower, but there is knowing awareness, non-self awareness. That's seeing reality as it is. What kind of perception arises because of the sound? perceptions or urges arising in the mind. What is the mind creating because of a sound? Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Sabbe sankhara dukkati. Sabbe dhamma anattati. Yanda panyaya pasati. Atanibindati dukhi. Esamango visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to pass away. And all impermanent things have clung to with ignorance, bring agitation and suffering. And all the Dhammas, the conditioned Dhammas, as well as the unconditioned Dhamma, without any owner or controller. There's only the illusion of one. All the Dhammas are without self. When one understands these three characteristics with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with self-created suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha, the awakened. And again, let's spend the last minutes of the meditation by cultivating thoughts of vibrations of metta, pure wisdom, pure love, pure energy, best wishes, radiating that to our own body and mind, and to all other beings. Again, try to take some 3-part breaths again, filling up the bottom, the middle, and top of the lungs, holding the air in the lungs as long as you comfortably can to feel or imagine that oxygen going into the blood, out to all the cells, charging them up with pure love, wisdom, energy, making them happy, and feel that relaxing contraction of the out breath and the mind relaxing into the present moment. Just try to take several more deep, slow breaths like that, sending your own body, mind, nervous system, this metta, just with the idea that may this body and mind be well, peaceful, and wise. May it be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. And free from the self-created karmic sufferings. May this body and mind have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I be able to continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma and the practice of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. To free the mind from samsaric wheel of suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. Try to continue taking some more deep, slow breaths. And with each out breath, just imagine sending these waves of metta thoughts and energy back home, or wherever, to your parents, even if they've passed away. Imagine them some samsaric realm we don't know. We're sending these vibrations to other living family members. If anybody's sick or has so many problems, just sending these waves of pure love, wisdom, energy, metta, permeate their body, mind, nervous systems, of their anxiety, pain, stress. And with each out breath, again, just imagine these waves of metta going further and further afield, across the countryside, through the towns and villages, cities, eventually across the whole earth, across the oceans to all the continents, finally to surround the whole earth. If you can imagine it, just imagine the beautiful blue-green earth suspended in space, as per the NASA photographs. Just imagine these clouds of metta vibrations, pure love, pure wisdom, pure energy, just permeating and saturating the atmosphere and all the cells and tissues of all the living creatures, pacifying their anxiety, fears, worries, soothing their pains, and awakening the vibration of pure awareness and wisdom in their mind. And with the thought that may all living beings, wherever they might be well, peaceful, and wise. May all living beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. So, I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly with the breathing. Take a deep breath, hold the breath in a couple of seconds, and do the chanting on a long out breath. Sadhu. Place the hands at the edge of the knees and take one more deep breath. On the in-breath, stretch the head back, pull against the hands against the knees, to arch backwards. Hold it a few moments. Feel the sensation. And on an in-breath, lift the head up, and on an out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Having the smile on your face means that you recognize that even though whatever condition, suffering you might be undergoing with body or mind, ultimately it's an illusion created within the mind, and to be able to smile helps to kind of hopefully break some of that passionate clinging and that attachment to those identification. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante.
Well, I hope you're all able to get just a few moments of some insight and inner quietness.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're all welcome.
Thank you, Bhante.
Remember,